All right, everybody, welcome out to Poplar Community Council. I'm going to use this so I can talk really easily. You can hear me really well. We like to welcome all those that are on Zoom as well as those that are here in person. We'll probably get a few more stragglers going as we work our way along. Just a reminder during the meetings, if you have people online, you don't have to use the mic, but if you don't use the mic, talk really loud. If you're in the back of the room making a comment, it'll sound like the people online this really project. So, by way of introduction, my name is Danny Duval. I'm the chair of the Poplar Community Council. We're glad to have Marissa here, who is the secretary. We'd like to also Karen as the treasurer, who's present here, and Danny as a board member. We have a couple of board members that will be popping in as we move along as well. We just like to remind that community council here is trying to connect with members of the community. It's your chance to come and hear what's going on in the neighborhood, in the city. You'll have a chance to voice any concerns you have, and hopefully we can connect you with the parties that can actually do something about your complaints. Because I think we love to hear what your problems are as a community council, but we actually have almost no authority to do anything about it except pass those complaints on. So we want to be the bridge to help you connect with the city or other organizations that will be able to address the concerns that you have going on. So moving along, we can start off our meetings with community council and public agenda items. We go through several different community organizations and government offices to just keep up to date and let you know who you can connect with. So we'd like to start off. We have anyone from the fire department here? I don't think so. So we'll get to move right on to my favorite section, our crime police report, Detective Oliver.
I came prepared because you guys hit me up hard last month. I brought the best. Okay. Any questions, concerns? I brought a guest. We'll get to Sergeant Johnson here in a second. Yeah, go ahead.
I heard you had COVID. I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
I did. It wasn't fun.
I've had two incidents happen to me over the past month, which ended up being I guess they're level 2 calls.
Okay.
And I guess I'm kind of disappointed with the response time of 20 minutes.
Okay.
For about each call. I think that if somebody's making a 911 call and the police department's arriving 20 minutes later, I think that creates some safety concerns.
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
And I've noticed that the crime.
Back a little further.
Sorry.
The crime seems to have rose in Salt Lake, or at least in this area on the Jordan River Trail over the past month. It's kind of concerning for me because I use the Jordan River Trail quite frequently, and when I've got to make 2 911 calls in a month, I feel like that's quite a bit. So, I've tried to reach out to you, but of course you've been ill.
You have my cell phone number, right?
What's
Do you
that?
have my cell phone number? Because I'd like the case numbers so I can kind of look at the case numbers and see what happened, and then I can get an answer back.
Yeah, I didn't see where I was getting the wrong number.
I'll give you the number.
verify that.
It's 385. This is for anybody. Some people know better than others. 385-549-9262. And if you want to send me those case numbers, you did get case numbers on both those calls. They should have sent you. You should have got a text back from the department saying you called at this time. This is the case number. Did you get a text back?
I'm going to get up a little closer because I have a hard time hearing.
So when you called 911, did you get a text back on your phone saying this was your case number? You remember?
I did.
Okay, so just send me those case numbers so I can look and see what happened and why it took so long for officers to get on this process. Because that's really what I would like to figure out.
And then the other part of the problem is when the officers arrive, they seem to be limited on what they can do. I heard a report at last meeting I was here about some concerned people about some crime that went on that they were trying to follow up through the courts. I've been told that it doesn't do much good to fill out one of those victim forms.
No.
And it doesn't do very good to go to the court and try to file a case against somebody.
No.
Especially if it's your word against theirs.
No, 90%, and the sergeant could probably verify this, we'll say a lot of the cases that are thrown out because they don't have a case. And if you don't fill out a victim card or a victim report, they already throw it out, so they can't really follow up without a victim.
Well, it's interesting that they want me to fill out the victim report while the person is getting away.
Well, and it's a follow-up. I mean, once the crime occurs, the investigation has to take place. So there's things that have to happen.
3 police officers that I spoke to with Salt Lake City have told me that I'm wasting my time to file, even filling out a victim statement. I'm wasting my time to try to file a case. They make it very difficult to file a case. You have to go down to the courthouse. They tell me that it's your word against theirs a lot of time. They won't arrest somebody that's committed an assault.
I really want to see some of these cases because I need to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Specifically, because they shouldn't be telling you shouldn't be filling out a victim card. Okay, that's how we receive our complaints that are complaint based. All of the hotspots are complaint based. So if we don't have a victim for that complaint, then how are we going to find out those parameters?
And if they don't go after the assailant, then how are they going to have
A victim. Yeah, I get it completely. If you want to follow up and send me some of those case numbers, I'd really like to figure out what's going on.
So then I ended up visiting with the sergeant because I was upset that one officer wasn't helping me, and he talked to me about if I tried to influence an arrest, I'm in a gray area, and that I can actually be arrested on a Class B misdemeanor.
I really need to figure out who those officers are and look at the reports. Because
so you can see my frustration.
Absolutely, it frustrates me too.
So if I've had people, and then I've watched a story about these property owners that are very frustrated with the homeless people, and that a police officer was pushing, a homeless person was pushing a police officer. The property owner says, "Why are you allowing that homeless person to push you? If I was to do that to you, I'd probably get an assault charge."
You would. Yep.
Well, Mayor Mendenhall has says we can't touch these people.
Well, I mean, the politics society, we have members from the mayor's office today that if someone pushes the police officer, it's an assault. If someone pushes you, it's an assault. It needs to be filed. You need to call it a written statement so we can pursue it. But yeah, if those things occur, I would be upset. So
Okay, so that's kind of my issue. I just I'm really, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but if you was just in a situation where you were being assaulted or attempted to be assaulted by somebody on the Jordan River Trail or around your area, would you be concerned if you had went through some of the things that I experienced?
Right, I think we all agree with you, including how,
yeah, and I really want to follow up because if that's occurring, we need to solve that.
Okay.
Those were great questions. So, sorry. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, 3 weeks ago, I got an o'clock in the evening. And had my front door open. And up on the ramp on the ninth glass, there were 5 shots being fired. And I called, in to PD. And I saw, would see me get somebody out there right away. I said, do you understand? Shots have been fired.
Yeah.
We'll get back with you. Yeah.
So realize, and I've mentioned this before, dispatch is not a part of the police department, they're separate entities, right? So we kind of have to go through the same medium, it's dispatch. Shot fired call is gonna be a priority one that we send off to them. And we talked about this earlier, that if you hear it, I'm glad you call, because if multiple neighbors hear it, then they can kind of triangulate where it's coming from, we can get officers there quicker. So if you do hear shots fired, sounds like there was one over off of one, not too long ago. We can get them, identified quicker. We can come out and we can get the brass or whatever is left and follow up with that. And there's been cases that have been solved on just, you know, what's left, the remnants of what's left in the shots fired or gang drive.
Yeah, what kind of pissed me off, you know, that I never heard anything back, never got a case number, I never seen any officers come up. And people are saying, did you hear the shots last night?
Are you calling on a home phone or cell phone?
So,
Okay, so since we've got a new technology out, that if you call in, it'll text you back the case number. So you'll be able to receive a text number back saying, here's your case number, here's what's happening, and if there's any follow-ups that occur, we'll go back to you.
okay, because I never got anything.
Yes. I've received many cases. By calling it.
Which is great for us because now a lot of people forget to ask for that case number, but now it comes back and then the record.
Yeah, I brought back the instance of in 79. You know what we live.
Yeah.
And right directly across the street that Rick home. There was a gang in there and they started shooting on both sides of the street, south and north. And there was a guy, my wife's car, and he was shooting at that house. And I grabbed my kids and put them all back. And I'm like that, now, this thing gonna happen. Yeah, 2 doors down from me and Buddy. But the said, Charlie, what do you want to do? And I said, well, how much do you want to spend on him? Yeah, I said, you know what I've done? You can go through 64 rounds in court.
Yeah, so just call us.
You
The
know,
biggest thing is call us.
but the new things that are coming out and what you guys can do and what you can't do and what they're willing to put out, you know, forward to you guys, it seemed like one getting that information or getting through to them.
Well, if there's something you have a question on, please, you have myself and send it and I can get.
I will get it
Okay.
from you tonight.
Okay. I just want a quick introduction. I told you last month that I was gonna bring, the sergeant who's in charge of our investigations, our street crimes investigations. Yeah, I already said, we'll talk about it. And to answer any questions you have about what you need for the police to investigate drug cards. So, Sergeant Johnson has volunteered to come and talk to you guys. So if there's questions that you have about drugs specifically, right? Or just street crimes.
So I'll just let you know what my unit does. And then I didn't come prepared for anything, I just, if you guys want to ask the questions, I'm here. We investigate all vice crimes, so we investigate alcohol, enforcement, gambling, prostitution, human trafficking, and then we also investigate all crimes involving narcotics.
So pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And can we, how many did you have within?
So I have 6 officers under me, we're responsible for the whole city.
Like all of Salt Lake City? Or
Yes.
just all of us?
We try to be very creative with how we investigate things, because there's only 6 officers, we partnered up with different agencies to help us, because there's only 6 of us. And the other agencies have been very helpful. We work with the DPA sometimes, and also state bureau of investigations. So actually, that's they're also very helpful. But all of your tips, you guys all know the phone number to call if you have a drug tip. Okay. Tell me when you're ready. It's easy to remember. It's 801-799-DRUG. So I have to look at my phone.
And I think there was a system for a little bit.
There was, and I can explain that.
Yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna look at what the drug is. It is 3784. So 801-799-3784. It's just an automated thing. And I am the one that monitors that. So we get a lot of tips that come through. The mailbox does get full. If I go on vacation, they're chaos. But I apologize if it gets full. When I come back and if I get super busy and I don't empty it, it is me, it is my fault. So you're looking at, you can call 3010 that at the front desk and let them know, hey, the narcotics line is full. So that they can yell at me and I'm gonna empty out so we can get your tips. When I do get the tips, I've got 6 detectives for 6 different areas in Salt Lake City. Unfortunately, the investigator that's responsible for this actually has COVID right now, so he was going to come to this with me, but he couldn't make it, obviously. So you've got one detective that can enroll in your guys' tips, because we do have to manage all of one city. So we've got one for Sugar House, Rose Park, downtown, ballpark area, and the avenues.
But I'm assuming that like the guy that's for Poplar grows COVID, we could have in one of those, London.
Oh, yes. So, I may have explained that incorrectly. We all investigate everything together. These cases take my squad, all of these cases, to investigate the way that we investigate them. It's just one officer that filters the cameras and holds the complaints. And then we will all come and work together. Does that make sense? So he's out, but he still has his computer, he's still getting the intel tips that I'm sending to him.
What is his name?
His name is Detective Weimer. And I'm happy to come back next month, maybe if you guys don't have questions and.
You guys are done for the rest of the year, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't meet until January.
Well,
Next time.
Next time, yeah.
fun to be here, but. But he's generally the one that will be, following up on most of your drug tips. Did you have a question?
Yeah, what would you need on our end to make it easier for you guys to do your job and hold somebody accountable? So if I'm witnessing a drug deal, maybe multiple times in a certain area, what can I do on our end so that it helps you guys be able to do your job?
So, I mean, first off, call into the tip line. Pictures are helpful. If you're seeing a street drug dealer, I usually call in our bike squads to come in if it's a certain area. So, for example, we've got the Parkway Trail, a lot of drug activity there. The more times that you guys call in, I actually use these tips to tell our upper admin that I need more bodies. And so call and keep calling. Like, I know it's like nothing's happening, but it is. This first, so things to say on the tip line, the address is very helpful. If you really want to call back, let us know, because we won't always call back. Sometimes we'll just take the tip and run with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to be talked to, if you want us to talk to you, just say, I would like a call back from the detective. If it's a address, a house, that's helpful to know where the address is, description of the individual that's perpetrating or that you're complaining on. What type of activity are you seeing? Are you seeing short stay traffic? Loud parties at night? Are you smelling something? Like, what is leading you to believe there is illegal drug activity happening at that house? All of that stuff is really good intel. There's one guy that he helps us out a lot as a citizen that and I'm not saying you guys are years, but he actually has an apartment downtown and he lets us use his apartment for surveillance. And we've done that before, surrounding to people's homes, like, I see my back window at these times. So when is the activity happening? You guys are welcome to come into my house and look through the window and see it for yourselves.
I'll make you guys dinner.
I mean, you don't have to do that, that's just what other things have done. Go ahead.
So you can take picture, you can take video if it's repetitive, and after you've seen similar activity in one spot, as a citizen, you can do that. That's what they do.
Yeah, of course, for sure. Go ahead.
Without taking copies of video, we can just off of that. If something happens, like a drug deal goes down. Can you come over? Yeah, can you come over and get a copy of that?
Oh, it's like a reading camera or something?
He's got
No,
no,
it's not. It's also from the house.
Oh,
And during the meantime, it's this quarter.
yeah, I mean, you're happy to provide video from your own video surveillance, we're happy to take it.
If there's a mom, then they
Right.
come over and get video of an accident and west, or what's going down, yeah.
Well, and I bet the data detectives like that too. If you're having issues with, it sounds like any activity by your neighborhood.
Used to neighbors got,
A big fan.
people got rid of them. That's bad.
So, talking about eviction, a lot of times when people give us a house, obviously the goal is to get those people out of that house. That's not always within our power. We do try to get houses shut down by the health department. And what we need from that is someone admitting meth use inside the house. We need to find paraphernalia. And we need to find methamphetamine inside the house. So there's three, if we find those three things, all three I must have. If I get those three things, I can call the health department right now, they'll come out right now. Close the occupancy, we kick them out. But I have to have those three things, and it has to be methamphetamine.
This photo of the meth pipe and meth drugs and torch.
Let me show that to our two.
So, then I can use that, but I can't use that to get into the house. So I need a little bit more to get into a house. Getting into someone's house is a huge invasion of their privacy. And so I need to convince a judge that that's necessary, right? So, we can use certain things like short stay traffic, or, we'll actually buy them, or we'll stop a car in the house, and they'll have narcotics, and they can say, we got the narcotics from this house. So it's an investigation that can take, I mean, it depends, it can take a month, or it can take 2 weeks. However long it takes to develop that probable cause, or to get into that house. So, those, those investigations take time, we can't just file them for price, right? Everyone has the right to their privacy, their Fourth Amendment, and so we need to work through that properly. And sometimes that's difficult. The judge will not give me a search warrant on paraphernalia alone. Because that's a misdemeanor. But we could always knock on that door, talk to the citizen, see what's going on, maybe we can develop more cause and show that there's actually men who's happening inside this house because of the APC. So if you want to send in the address of that house, we can direct the client, or you can call them right now. All right, hold on a second.
I think you.
Okay, what's your name? Yes, but you can be anyway. Actually, remember your name. Okay, go ahead.
572 South Nashville.
Okay. All right.
Great, awesome. So just to keep things rolling.
Yeah.
Grateful to get to know the new team that's going on around here. And so we can follow up if you have any direct questions. Detective Oliver's an open book. You
I'll
gotta
stay here tonight.
Stay my guys are working out.
Great. And we look forward to seeing renewed contact as we move through the years.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. To keep things rolling, I don't think do we have any House representative updates from the state? Next we have up here, Mayor's Office report.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sure.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. So I have about 11 pieces of information that I'd like to share with you. I know that in the past I've been asked to provide like a half sheet of information of all my updates. That's pretty challenging for me to keep up every month. So what I'm about to do every month now is bring flyers with information that I'm about to provide. They're at the table right here next to the treats. I will ask that if you have any specific questions, comments, or requests that don't pertain to the piece of information that I'm providing in a few moments, that we talk afterwards, or that we ask, or that we need the question and answers towards the end of my announcements. Is that okay?
Yes, great.
Okay. So the first piece of information is for, it's a scholarship. This is not sponsored by the city, but it was given to me by a city employee. They used to work at the University of Utah. It's a scholarship available for first year students. And this scholarship is available for those attending the business school at the U. So it's the David Eccles School of Business. The application for this scholarship for first year students, the deadline is February 2nd, 2024. So the scholarship fund provides to help with tuition, room and board, fees, health insurance if needed, tutoring, travel, and other resources to help scholars achieve their best. So, yeah, it sounds like a great opportunity. So I just wanted to distribute this, so it's over there right here. The next event that's happening tomorrow is that the city celebrating the beginning of construction on the much anticipated Glendale Park. So the Glendale Park, it's a ceremonial groundbreaking event, and the Glendale Park's construction will include amenities such as community plaza promenade, an all ages and all abilities playground, a picnic lawn, and more. The event is tomorrow, so if you're able to go, it starts from 10 to 11 a.m. There's outdoor space that will be covered if there's rain or right. Okay. You're able to attend. It's at the Glendale Park. It's 1200 West, 1700 South here in Salt Lake. Now, in that same flyer that I provided, it's on the back of it. It's double-sided flyer. There is a fact sheet for the community about the winter overflow for Utahns experiencing homelessness. And the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness plans to provide over 600 beds for Utahns. They will provide 3 meals a day, 24/7, dedicated to the winter response locations. So The locations are, for example, 175 additional beds between the 3 homeless resource centers. St. Paul is opening 65 beds. Let's see, 50 beds will be dedicated for homelessness at the Volunteers of America Recovery on Redwood Road. And if you have any, if you would like more information or have any questions regarding this, the winter shelter plan, you can email info@homelessutah.org. So the flyers up there, it's double-sided, so it's for the events for tomorrow and the winter overflow plan. The next thing is that the mayor's office would like to support your community events. And so the ACE fund, which is Arts, Culture and Events Grant, is opening November 1st. Between November 1st and December 1st, you can apply for this grant. And they have information sessions, so there are 4, one happening tonight, which is already done with. There's another one happening November 2nd, November 15th, and November 27th. If you have any partners who speak predominantly Spanish, there is one info session on November 15th at Glendale Mountain View Community Learning Center that will be held predominantly in Spanish. It will be a translator in English. So there are 4 workshops available for you to attend. To ask questions about what the application process is, how to fill out the application, clarify any questions you have on that. It's in English and Spanish. And also, the next one is, we're always looking forward to your feedback on anything happening with the city, any future plans, any future projects. So this flyer is double-sided. And the first one is a survey on the housing stability community survey. And they need feedback on determining the investment of federal community development funds in our city. So the federal funding comes from the HUD, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, sales tax dollars, city's general fund, and other sources to meet the goals. So the goal is to provide or develop a program that provides equity across all areas of the city, build neighborhood resilience, and empower those that call Salt Lake City home. So if you go to saltlakecity.gov/feedback, the front page looks like that. It's a 3-minute survey. It closes on October 31st. And yeah, so the housing stability department just needs your feedback on how to use the funding, okay? So go to that. And then in the same website, the feedback website, there's the Emerald Ribbon survey. And so that is, it consists of the Jordan River corridor and all the parks and open spaces adjacent to it. It's a master plan that's identifying and prioritizing improvements such as promoting access, scenic beauty, diverse recreation, and health ecology. The improvements that are made will be informed by your feedback and engagement. So if you go to the slc.gov/feedback, look for the ongoing survey called Making the Emerald Ribbon. And Public Lands wants to know the following from you. They want you to share your experiences on a story map, so you can upload your stories and you can upload pictures. They want to know about important activities that you engage in, perhaps suggestions on art, restaurants, businesses, your favorite lunch spot, memories with families, maybe biking or walking along the Jordan River corridor. And so that does not have a deadline for you to submit your stories, but any feedback that you can provide will contribute to the master plan. So that's a double-sided flyer. The next one is, I think it was Groove in the Grove or some other place that the transportation department had. Yes.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
Oh, it was, huh? Yeah. Well, many of you might have gotten this flyer, but this is very handy for me, and perhaps I thought you'd be interested. But it lists all the website projects turn them back. And so if you wanna, get informed any further about any specific project that's maybe around your area, then this might be handy for you to go.
You can also ask me directly, and or.
Yes,
In fact, we're gonna-
yes.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. They're intimidating. No, just kidding. The next thing is, it's about the I-15 expansion, which I know the mayor does not, support the expansion. But I do want you, and we're not in charge of the process, the city's not in charge of the process, but we do want to inform you of what's going on and how to provide feedback. So, so what's now available online, it's the draft environmental impact statement, DEIS. So it's now available for public comments, it's a 45-day period. There were 3 open houses, but they're already past due. I mean, it was at 16, 17, and 18. However, if you want to view any of the recorded online open house presentations, you can go to their website, which is listed there. You can also contact the study team. They have a phone number, email, website. They have a Facebook group. And so the comment period is September 29th until November 13th. So that is pretty information. And the last 2 pieces of information you're invited to, and this is also a double-sided flyer. You're invited to the 75th Universal Declaration of Human Rights Day. That will take place on a Saturday, December 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's at the Gallivan Center. And if you would like to nominate someone, an individual or organization that should be recognized for their work in advancing human rights that have made a positive impact in Salt Lake City, you can submit that nomination. The flyer has a QR code. You just scan there and then you can submit your nominations of an individual organization. So that's also on the table. The last piece of information, which you might be interested, or, if someone else has a question on curbside collection services. I found this in the office and I thought, I'm gonna bring it over just in case someone is interested in seeing, where recycled things go, the cost, the service, all that jazz. It's all on the table. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a lot of info.
That is.
But we'll also, if you're not already on the mailing list, if you go to our website at poplargroveslc.org, you can sign up for the mailing list. We usually send out a recap of our meetings afterwards. And so we'll do our best to try to get all 11 of those along with all the other events that we're talking. It'll be a long email, but we'll put them all in the follow-up as well. So if anyone online or anyone that wants to get that info that wasn't here.
And I will submit the flyers or the digital copies.
Oh,
to you
perfect.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we
Perfect.
won't send it out till like a couple days.
Yeah.
We're volunteers.
Yes, due to time, I'm available on the side if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you want me to follow.
I appreciate you following up on the things that we talked about last week with, our last meeting with the podium. And I noticed that they did get the signage and
The striping,
done so that the bicycle lanes can be used around the podiums.
okay, glad that's up.
The only concern that I had was I've noticed about 5 accidents, especially up around 900 west and 400 south, where people have hit those. And I have made our councilman aware of that at the Groove in the Grove, that and I've watched people hit several of these cement barriers that have been put up and destroyed their cars. And so I don't know how, if anybody's noticed people hitting those, but it's quite a bit of punishment to lose your transportation over hitting one of those because people are not familiar with them or they're not identified correctly. And people are destroying their vehicles on those. I didn't know if you were aware of that.
Yeah, what's the road hazard? The very that's it's a road hazard. When a snowplow comes through, it's right in the edge of the main lane. You're gonna have some first one. That it's a problem. You were great as well. It was stupid. You have to stop traffic. If you stop, every car stop. You know, they should put those lanes off toward the sidewalk so the bus can pull in rather than stop right in the middle of the street and stop traffic. It was a stupid idea.
So.
Okay, so we can maybe put a pin in that. Alicia's here from the mayor's office. Not, just, we'll put a pin in that for the transportation guys to get that feedback.
They're taking notes.
Yes. Yeah, they really-
Okay.
Well,
But-
I'm not saying no, you know, I'd rather it was right. I'd rather them hit that than kill me.
Well, I know you've got the.
So if I'm just saying that, you know, that, yeah, they work a great.
You also have to ask yourself, what were these people doing that they weren't paying attention? They hit it, were they on the phone?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I drive up and down for myself all the time.
Great, so we can, like I said, we'll put a pin in that and then you can take that offline or directly if it comes into our next presenter down the road a little bit. If there's not any other direct questions for the mayor's office, we'll thank Alicia for her time and we'll get back to transportation a little bit later. Before we get to that presentation first, let's just see here. We don't have Alejandro. Is he on? He's not online. All right, we don't have District 2 right now, but Sean with Sorensen Center, I don't think is there. NeighborWorks. Anyways, these are our normal partners. They have an open invitation. We support all the work that they do, even when they're not here to report on them. So the Sorensen Center, Neighborhood House, who is gracious enough to host here. I don't know if Jake has any announcements, but besides, we'll talk about the trunk or treat here. But again, those are the organizations that we as a community council really are grateful for their support, and we support them back as well. That's the Sorensen Center, that's technically in Glendale, but you know, still our neighborhood. Neighborhood House here and NeighborWorks, which is technically in Fair Park, but again, they're doing West Side work. As far as our council goals and some of the announcements that we have, just to touch base on some of those. We do want to mention SLCPL is having their trunk or treat on Friday night at the public safety building downtown over on what's the address on that?
475 South, 300 East.
Yeah. So we'll put some info in there, but again, for the kids, the trunk or treats, 'tis the season for that. We also have, in addition to that event, on Saturday, the 28th, is going to be the International Market, their Halloween Fest event going on at the fairgrounds. This, again, is a reiteration of these international markets have been organized with a lot of effort from West Side organizations, and we want to do our best to support them. So if you can make it out for any portion of that, they have a lot of vendors from all over Salt Lake that are at this event. It should be a good fun time, free to visit, and then, you know, if you want to patronize any of the businesses that are there. They have a beer garden. Food trucks are there, vendors all over the place. So it should be a really great event if you can make that out. Next we have, here is gonna be another trunk or treat on Halloween. So before your regular trick or treating, here at Neighborhood House, they are hosting a trunk or treat from 4 to 6 p.m. Community Council will be there with the trunk decorated as well. So feel free to come support that or pass that around. And then we just want to mention that we take a little break. Do we not have a slide for that?
We have.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the different order.
So technically, the community council is a volunteer organization and we're like, yeah, I mean, between us and you, we take off a few months. So we take off 2 months in the summer and 2 months in sort of the fall, winter areas. So we don't meet during June or July, and we don't meet normally during November and December. We meet the other months of the year. We actually will be meeting in December for a special community council meeting. It's still a little bit TBD. It'll probably be at 6:30 here at Neighborhood House, but we're actually joining with Fair Park Community Council to do a joint potluck community council meeting. Lines are somewhat arbitrary in the sense that we're all neighbors, and so we're trying to create better bridges with our neighboring community councils. If you ever want to know where the boundaries are, the city has a map online. You can find that link on our website as well. But we don't normally meet in December, so we won't have meetings like this on the fourth Wednesday until January of next year. But we will have a special, joint community council potluck, sort of little party, so a holiday party on December 7th, which will be the first Thursday in December, if you want to try to check that out. So that was and then we also had, there's this, we just got an email about this afternoon. There's this educational discourse nights that will be held, what is this, where?
There'll be 2 discussions, during the week of November 6th, and they're gonna determine the exact dates and times based on how many people are available on which days. So if you are interested, please, either scan that QR code and fill out the form, or email kcannon@sltrib.com.
So yeah, it'll be basically talking about educational opportunities. So specifically for parents, educators, and those in the education sphere, specifically talking about dual immersion and options that you have with education. So if you know of any parents that have kids in school, that might be or people that don't have kids and want to have kids, I don't know. We'll keep that open to that, but it's run through the Salt Lake trip. And all of this again will be in the recap email that we sent out. So we plowed through a lot of info. We now have 2, possibly 3, probably just 2 presentations today from some groups that will affect our community. We'll start off with livable streets.
Yes.
And you can tell us who their plans are.
That, or if you like them, but mainly we're trying to build plans with people, with the community. Hi, I'm Keegan. I'm with the transportation division with the city, and I'm here to talk about livable streets. I feel like I've talked to a lot of you about livable streets already. Zone 4, 3, 4, one of those zones that we just did was just here in Poplar Grove, and guess what? We're back. The 9th zone in the livable streets priority zone list is kind of the edge of Poplar Grove, like the most westernmost edge. Did we send you that map?
I don't think so.
There's a map. He's got a map. There's a map. 1 second on the map. But basically the boundaries are from Redwood Road to Cheyenne, and then 4th South to 9th South. And the focus with livable streets is really focusing on neighborhood streets. So basically we do have some candidate kind of streets that we've picked out based on speed, crash data, and other equity-based data points, such as, access to a vehicle and income is a big one. And so we're out here just letting you know that we're kicking it off. We don't really have anything to share with you as of yet because we have to make the plan with the neighborhood first. And so in order to make that plan, we do host generally 2 to 3 community meetings throughout the course of our engagement. And so we just wanted to invite you to the first opportunity that we have, November the 9th at 6 o'clock. And it will be here at Neighborhood House. And yeah, we're just going to talk about the zone, and we're going to kind of set up the parameters for what a neighborhood traffic calming plan looks like. Mainly we just want your input. We're going to talk about the treatments that we can use. We can talk about the budget that's used. The council has set aside specific money for this program in order for us to make our neighborhood streets safer and just make them better and more livable. That's the reason why we call them livable streets. So other than that, I mean, we just wanted to invite you all to come and enjoy spending some time with us talking. Well, I guess we'll enjoy the transportation talk, but you guys can give us really keen insight as to the problem points within the particular area that we're addressing. So other than that, I mean, I am open to any questions that y'all might have about the process or anything else. Yes.
Whose, brilliant idea was it to put the speed, and zigzag roads with barriers that high?
Oh, are you talking about on Emery Street?
Yeah.
Over there off of 7 South? Well, so that is actually, that was just a pilot project for us to kind of test different elements that we may want to use within the Livable Streets project, or any Livable Streets project. And so the reason we put those chicanes in is mainly to test to see if there were alternate ways other than, you know, throwing down a bunch of speed bumps to try and slow people down.
Do you understand? Winter time, these snowplows, these 14-foot snowplows are gonna nail those things. And you can be replacing snowplows, the mechanism and suspension on these trucks.
So we have talked to Streets about this, and they're, you know, they're willing to work around these things just to try and test these things out. Now, the ones in the intersection, we are going to try and leave those up during the winter. But the other ones, I'm sure you've noticed, they're gone. And so those were just, like I said. I know, and it's you know, but it was funny. I went through there and actually people were still following the lines on the road. So it was weird. We might as well just drop down arbitrary lines, apparently. But that being said, yeah, it was just a test. It was a pilot project just for us to see how quickly we could get a solution out there, and just we wanted to see, honestly, we just wanted to see how it worked. And obviously it was very you know, very give and take there. Yeah, it was, you know, there was some good aspects and then a lot of bad aspects.
Well, wait till you start getting the bill for all these snowplows that get damaged.
The street division reviews everything you build along with emergency.
Yeah, in fact, they installed all of those. They installed those things themselves, actually.
They're gonna end up going through a lot of snowplows and damage on out of it. I can guarantee you that right now.
Boy, they avoid parked cars, pedestrians.
Well, part cars, I can see that these cement barriers.
They do kind of, I can see what you're saying too. They're kind of they would blend in with the snow and stuff like that. There is reflective, well, and also we just painted them too, so hopefully that'll stick out a little bit. So that is exactly the question we actually have asked this question ourselves.
That wasn't considered. And the fact is, should have gone up. It should have gone on somewhat, perhaps. It's a nice thing to have people who are willing to take the bus. The bus should pull over. It shouldn't have been as far up as there.
Well, and so the idea behind that is actually to kind of use the buses as a form of traffic calming to slow people down. And so the thing is once those buses are actually out there and using those podiums, like actually using them with all the posts and all the fun stuff, you know, the seats, the whatever sheltering, trash cans, the whole amenities. I feel like once everything fills out and the buses actually start to use it, what we're intending to have happen there you'll start to see that there will be a balance out. And then of course with these things too, that's the one thing I've learned in my short amount of time in transportation is that things they take time for people to kind of, the learning curve is pretty steep with things like this, especially traffic calming related stuff.
We have a fitting online comment, just Dennis first wanted to make the comment regarding the construction of the pedestrian islands. He says, I've watched people drive into them under certain conditions. I believe the problem primarily starts when the contractor builds the island, but then doesn't install any enhanced visibility measures until months later. Since they are changing the street drastically, they must, all capitals, make the change visible immediately as part of the initial installation.
150% agree with you, and we've actually been dealing with this issue. It's not just with these particular projects, but we've dealt with the striping and the signage coming in kind of late with these contractors. And honest to goodness, I wish I had a clue as to why it was happening, but it's a thing we've been noticing, and it drives me batty too, so.
I had a guy from UTA telling me, so, well, we're trying to get people to leave their cars and, you know, take a UTA. I said, good, 15-minute jog in my car to get to my work. I will have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
To get on the UTA, take 4 transfers to get to my work by 8 o'clock.
See, and that's.
I said, now you tell me, is that economical?
No, and especially if you have to wake up even earlier than you already do, which is,
No.
it's never never a good.
That ain't never gonna happen.
I didn't get your name.
I'm Keegan.
Okay. And I'm Brian.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
One thing I've noticed with these podiums that we talked about
Mhm.
is they put them in there so that people could get off like they do at the track station without having to step down as far.
It's,
to the ground.
yeah, it's part of that, but it is also actually with these, when you have the in-lane stops like this, it actually increases the bus headway as well. So, because I'm sure you've seen it other places when the bus pulls off, there's this awkward, you know, like, do we let the bus in? Do we not let the bus in? There's 1,000 cars. When does the bus get to come in? And then that kills the bus's headway, right? So if the bus is able to make a quick stop, drop people off, pick people up and keep moving, in theory, it's supposed to keep the bus moving. And then also, you know, it adds a little traffic calming to the corridor, but it shouldn't affect the actual volume of cars that go through within a specific.
So the point that I'd like to make
Mhm.
is that this has been going on for 4 months of having construction and having podiums. We're not using the podiums. They've been constructed and sitting there for 4 months without being used.
Yeah,
So when you mention an amount of time, why do we construct these things if we're not gonna use them?
I'm using it every day. Every day I walk my dog. It's
The
great.
podiums, you ride the bus?
No, it's great. Yeah.
I'm talking about the getting on and off the bus. I'm not talking about using them as process.
People are definitely using it.
one, and the big issue is the time frame. I mean, that 4 months, that's never the intention. The intention is to have everything go in relatively quickly to when the flat work is finished. Now, unfortunately, we've had some issues with that stuff coming in. And then the other problem is we have to, with our deal with UTA, we have to wait for all of that stuff to come through.
And I ride the bus every day, and I've never been let off at one of those podiums.
Exactly, it's because the signs aren't in yet. And
So I don't know who thinks that they're stopping there, because I ride the bus every day and they've never stopped.
yeah, they got like the temporary stops kind of like forward from them, right?
So 4 months seems like a pretty unreasonable amount of time. I don't know how everybody else thinks. What?
Yeah, no, oh, yeah.
Straight up, that he's just going through.
Oh, yeah, and the project manager himself has just been.
And I visited with Taylor.
Was it Joe? Joe?
And I've been very disappointed with his customer service. I have talked to him so many times on the phone. He's not very helpful. He's very difficult to talk to. He always says, well, that's the way it is. And I've even had our city coordinator over there talk to him because I can't talk to him. Very frustrating person to talk with.
Okay.
And I haven't had a very good experience with him.
Well, I'm sorry. to hear
Joe
that.
Taylor?
Yeah, Joe Taylor is, yeah, he's the project manager. Going forward, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll grab you one of my cards and we'll chat.
As it was explained to me on those handouts,
Mhm.
is it had nothing to do with the city itself.
The distinction is the difference, he's making the distinction between the bus stops versus the bowl.
I understand, but on the whole thing, delay was not the city. The city contracted these jobs out, and it was the contractors who were dragging their feet on it. And the
That's
city
true.
kept pushing, and the city kept pushing. But I mean, you can't make these contractors move any faster than they're gonna move,
Yeah.
especially when they're short on labor, right?
short on labor and lots of projects right now too, like a ton of projects. I mean, we just put 60, it's almost 60 speed humps in on Capitol Hill. So that's a whole other job and then other job. I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on, but that should never be an excuse. I mean, I feel like if we, you know, we put down the contract with the contractors, you know, they have an obligation to fill that contract. So I hear your frustration though. 4 months is a ridiculous amount of time to finish anything, like really anything. So I definitely hear you, and we feel the same way. I mean, we get that frustration, and we get, you know, we got calls from you. I remember, you know, I've gotten a few calls on that particular corridor that have just been, you know, it's hard to tell people, well, hey, we're hopeful for it, but there's nothing coming. So, you know, what was, you know, we can't really tell anybody anything else, you know, so.
If you wanted to make it safer, why don't you put a crosswalk, fairly modest speed limits and lighting and stuff like that? There's lights at the crosswalk in the area, you know.
Mhm.
You know, that would seem to be a better way to control traffic. And then have the, you know, the buildings towards the side. You know, so that's control. And being a speed bump, and having little speed bumps, you might as well put it in stop line. Here, rather than speed bumps.
Yeah, some of them are.
People, you know, just even if someone's just going slow and is a little negligent, you know, and this is one of the speed bump signs.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna wait for suspension. I mean, those are speed.
Yeah, and especially the ones down towards the bottom of the hill. Yeah, and we actually, up towards the top, on East Capitol Boulevard, we actually, we removed some and, brought them down about an inch. So, a little less effective, I'm gonna be honest with you. You could go over about.
It's like, I really seen that as a real speed place. You know, it's like real people speed. I've never seen exactly speed.
I used to live in that neighborhood. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't see much of it either, but you know, it is what it is. You know, people ask for things, and that one was a huge, whole other project. So.
It's essentially a slots.
Well, and so with stop signs, that's a whole other thing, but stop signs are speed control, whereas the things we talk about generally are traffic calming, which is a lowering, not making people stop. So. Question.
Yeah, and so, do you guys have an evaluation for width of street versus speed? You guys have an evaluation to determine that, because our street is, we've got over on 10th West. We've got a real serious speed problem there, because it goes from a really wide 10th West to a very narrow 10th West. It's the shortcut straight to Smith's Food King, and unfortunately we get a roundabout there on 7th South. That'll be huge, but still that reach, just in one block reach. Oh my God. People go so fast, and we've been complaining for years and years and years about getting some low speed bumps, just exactly what I would recommend. You know,
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing 30 miles an hour and hitting those bumps,
You're not gonna be
people are
feeling
going
good.
down
Yeah.
this narrow street doing 45 miles an hour, and there's barely room in front of those people right there near that. There's barely room on either side because of the vehicles that are parked down both sides. It's a narrow street.
Right. Well, and so with that, we've actually been working in the city. We recently, I want to say a couple of years ago, we came out with a series of typologies for our neighborhood streets and for just all of our streets. So we're trying to figure out how context drives the designs that we put into a street. So a narrow street changing into a wide street, how would you deal with that? So we are, you know, we're very aware of that, and you know, it's something that's catching on in Utah, thankfully. Speed bumps, on the other hand, speed bumps are definitely something we can do, but the issue is we have to do it behind the protocol of livable streets. So with that zone, we would have to wait until we get to that zone in order.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
And a mid-block speed bump is just totally solve our issue. And plus, we've got about 20 some odd peacock there, you know.
Right.
That make an issue too.
Okay.
And then, you know, and then with the children and the little ways.
Okay, no doubt.
So, you know, it's just not a good street.
Right over here, real quick. Just to keep things rolling, we got this map sent to us. If we can maybe just touch on.
There she
why that
is.
was sent to us.
So this particular map that was sent to you, this is the zone that I was trying to tell you all about. So this is our new zone. This is zone 9 for the Livable Streets project. Like I said, it's in between Redwood Road and Cheyenne here. and Indiana and 4th South. And so these yellow streets that you see here, these are all the candidate streets that I mentioned. These are all the streets that have met our criteria for traffic calming under the Livable Streets banner. So yeah, this is what we'll be talking about. We'll, you know, have sticky notes and fun things to put on the map. So y'all can tell us exactly what you see in this area and how you would like to see it fixed.
And just moving forward, how else can we help? Is that the best way as a community we can help you? Is there anything else you need from us besides feedback on the maps?
So the feedback on the maps is great, but we also do have an online survey. It's our citywide traffic calming survey. We'll get you a link to that,
Great.
so you can share that. But yeah, that'll give us all the details we need as well. So if you can't make it to the community meetings, totally fine. We're happy to take the information that you can give us on the survey as well.
We're also gonna be trying to canvass every home.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, we're gonna come drop by and say hey. So
We do have a scientific study on variable sizes of speed bumps too.
oh yeah, I mean that's something.
Because it doesn't seem like science was used up there. You said you had to bring them down to each spot.
Mhm.
But, you know, I've been up there, you know, frequently, and, you know, all of them, I haven't seen one that's better than the other. And then I had to go almost to a complete spot.
I think the big thing too is the community did drive a lot of that. They were very, very pushy, very forceful with it. And the thing is about speed humps is generally you don't want to use them on anything over an 8% grade. So we didn't really take into account how a hill interacts with the speed hump. So that was yes, that was a general oversight for the whole project.
That's what I say, get
Yeah.
science involved.
So, and that's why we found out, you know, lowering the profile definitely helps people get through, but are we still getting the same result that we wanted beforehand? Yeah, it's negligible. So, yeah, like I said, trade-offs. And yeah, I think a little more scientific approach with speed humps and hills is something that we're gonna need to look at in the future for sure.
The ones on East Capitol Boulevard were reconstructing 3 of the lower ones because they were a little bit too low of a design speed. The initial goal of that project was to just keep people going about 30 miles an hour. And like I said, they're much lower design speed than that. So we're going to reconstruct those for a bit higher design speed.
Yeah, there's gonna be some adjustments made for sure before we move into the date.
And speed bumps, I think they serve a good purpose.
Just gotta make sure the profiles more dialed in.
Reasonable. To me, the Capitol Hill speed bumps, every single one, and then all the streets up there, every single one, you know, spots on them, every single floor, you know, in order to get over.
Yeah,
I'd
no
like to
doubt.
use stop signs as traffic calming devices or traffic control devices, primarily because you get that rubber band effect where people speed up quickly if they see a stop sign coming up, just so that they can increase their average speed. And then you also get lower compliance, the more stop signs you have, because
Yeah,
if people have to stop every block, they start rolling.
they
stop
start to
signs
just
run.
stop using them altogether, yeah.
So it's difficult to use stop
Could
signs.
you explain for us what the city has control over, what the state has control over?
Oh. Yeah,
Speed limits or you can do,
so yeah, no, that's a great question. So as far as state and city goes, so we do have pretty much all the streets in the city itself are owned by us, except for notable state routes. Your 7th Easts, your Redwoods, your 4th South, past the freeway there as you get to 3rd West, and Foothill. These are all state-owned roads. So big, wide roads that get you places quickly are generally state-owned roads. And there are ways to find out which roads are state-owned and which ones aren't. And mainly that's just on Google. You'll see the state routes. They're usually yellow. But the difference is I'm gonna be honest with you, UDOT, they're not really in the business of calming traffic. They do traffic calming, you know, on main streets, maybe on a state route that goes through some rural town or, you know, things like that. But generally, when it comes down to it, that's why we've had such a hard time with State Street or any sort of traffic calming on Redwood Road, is because we don't own those roads. Those roads are state owned.
Awesome. I'm sure we have tons more questions and they will be here at the end if you'd like to ask them directly. But for time's sake, we have one of the presenter we want to make sure we get to as well. Did you have any other big asks you wanted besides feedback on the website with the survey and with the meetings that you have with the zoning?
Really just keep your eyes out for, I'm gonna be sending out some postcards. We'll be out in the neighborhood canvassing, but yeah, definitely try and make it to our meeting on November 9th at 6 o'clock here at Neighborhood House. It's gonna be in the conference room. So yeah, other than that, we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your
Appreciate you.
presentation there. And then we are very excited to have the other side village here to present. We'll just turn the time over to you.
You want to just start here?
Yeah, just a few feet away from it so that you're too close. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Camille Winnie. I'm the Director of Operations for the Other Side Village, and with me here is my colleague Robbie. I'll let him tell a little bit about himself, but I'll start by just giving a little update about what's happening. We've begun the initial site work at the site on Indiana Avenue. We've completed our development agreement for phase 1 and the lease with the city for that property, and we have begun the soil remediation work already. We've just done the first phase of soil removal, contaminated soil removal that's been completed. And so the next phase of the excavation will begin on November 2nd, where the site will start to be cleared. You'll start to see some significant soil work happening. If you've driven by there, you'll see there's a pile off to the side of a big dirt mound. That's the fill material that's coming from another side of clean fill material. So once the initial scraping of that site is done, then the fill will go in and be compacted, and then we'll start the actual excavation for the utilities and roads and all of that. So, but that initial removal of contaminated soil has been completed, and the testing has been completed, verifying that we got the problem spots cleared and it's clear around them. And that next phase of the clearing the entire site will start November 2nd. So you'll start to see a lot more happening along there. And we're working with Reynolds Excavation, are the ones that are doing that, and we have stormwater management plans as well as the dust management, this water trucks, all of that. So if you have any concerns or issues, just let us know. They're supposed to be managing all of that and mitigating any challenges with that, but that'll be happening over the next 30 days or so. And then once the site excavation starts, that'll be the main phase of the actual subdivision construction. So that'll continue through the winter. And then we're hoping to be able to start actually doing foundations for the homes early spring. So things are finally moving forward. We've officially begun and everything is going according to plan. So we're excited about that. Entering into the construction phase now. We've been in that planning phase for a couple of years and we're past all those hurdles and things are going well. So Robbie is actually, he works on the other side. We have two components to the village. One is what we call our prep school. And then we have the actual village where people will live. And he's going to tell you a little bit about prep school.
Yeah, my name's Robbie. I manage the prep school facility. So I'd like to start off, how many of you guys know about the village project? Okay, and do you feel pretty fairly well versed in it? There's the preparatory school you go to beforehand, before you move into the village. And upon graduation of the preparatory school is when you move into the village. I could give a long spiel explaining what it is, but I'd more so like to answer the questions you guys have. And if you're interested in some of the specifics, we can touch on that as well. Did you guys have any questions regarding the project? Yeah.
The dirt pile, the big dirt, it's like regular soil. And I talked to the construction guy, he didn't know what was going on. And I assumed the soil, and he thought the soil was going to be used in that area where it's piled for a green space.
No.
And then I talked, then I know the wetland, which we got to digging out, and excavated, which we found 2 plots of windows there, which we got. I talked to people who soil sampling, and we've taken those on there.
Right.
So it's what we found out from you, that you're gonna bring that big dirt and put it into that wetland area. So this is swamp. And
There is.
It's, I mean,
Right.
and that's gotta be incredibly expensive to move all of that dirt, to dig all of the dirt out in order to get the contaminated soil. And then put that in and bring it above the soil flood to the level that's gonna be flooded, because it's not going in water, still going to settle down underneath it.
Actually, if you look at the development plan, there are drainage and retention as part of it, and so you aren't necessarily filling in those, because there's natural paths where the water flows. And so that's part of the site plan, is actually the drainage and retention that we have throughout it. So that'll be taken into account. If you've ever walked around on that property, there's a lot of just uneven stuff, and the city has used it for, as a holding place for, grass clippings, bark, gravel, those kind of, green waste kind of things. And so, and just, it's never been developed. And so there's a lot of debris and things on it. So what we'll be doing is scraping just all the extra stuff that's kind of on top to get to native soil. And then at that point where there are places that need to be filled in, that's where that fill material will go. That's just our holding place for it, because we had to accept it. It was ready to be, we had to have a place to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was, I just wondered if that where the pile is on the other side. It's supposed to be.
It is.
So I asked him, he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and often, a truck driver or just somebody operating equipment is not going to definitely know the whole, yeah.
But I did happen to see, what was so soon person, I talked to them and they were explaining what's going on. And in the original, the way it was,
Right.
you're fine with the original style.
And there were 8 different areas that had the Terracon, who does environmental testing. They're the ones who are overseeing all the environmental cleanup plan that we've got approved with the state and Department of Environmental Quality. And so they identified 8 areas that had above the tolerance levels. And so they've excavated all those, described to us like removing a mole. You go in and you cut around it and dig it out, and then you go back in and test the perimeter to make sure there's nothing left. Like if you had a cancerous mole removed and they check around to make sure they've got the entire thing. Same kind of thing, you get rid of the bad stuff. And then that leaves some holes, some craters essentially that will be filled back in and clean soil. Yeah, that probably is what took a year of planning time, was just getting all the environmental work done with the state, coming up with the voluntary cleanup plan. And so that's the first part that's happening before we even begin any of the construction.
So what's the transition time between people being in your, what you call it?
The prep school.
And when they go into housing?
So the prep school is going to be around 6 months. We do have some pretty high expectations of what you need to be able to do to move into the village. So you have to be clean and sober. You do need to be able to pay rent. We have a large community element to it. So if somebody's really struggling with some of that, needs some more time, it's flexible. And if somebody's really, batting 1,000, is really ready to live a different lifestyle, they can move faster, but around 6 months.
So are they actually living in this school?
Prep school's residential. Yeah, we have. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so the prep school's residential, and we have close to 10 people there right now. We're building the culture while we're building the houses offsite. So while they come in there, we cook together, clean together, work together, shop together. They get a part of what it's like to live with community, what it's like to care about somebody else, how to have 200% accountability, 200% accountability model. So I'm 100% accountable for my own decisions and 100% accountable for what Camille does. So if I'm Camille's neighbor and I see her making bad decisions, she's littering, things like that, our neighborhood's going to be a prosperous place if we can have that conversation of, hey, we care about this place, fix it.
Or as a neighbor who's seeing something go on that shouldn't be, they are required to say something and to address that and to let others know, so that those problems can be resolved within the community. And that's part of the standards that they're learning as part of the prep school and will have established before they even move into the village, into their home at the village.
Yeah.
Where will the prep school be located?
So the prep school right now is on 4800 South and 385 West. There's a building there. We recently just purchased a chapel that's across the street from the other side Academy on 7th East and on 1st South, and it's just west of 7th East. But that's under renovation, so that'll be the permanent location for it. So that's where people will go, get on their feet.
Are you recruiting or people applying?
Both. We got a line out the down the block. We have people come and they really sound like they want to be a part of it when they realize that it's not just a house and there's some expectations. We have some people choose to leave. There's also a lot of people in need. And so, yeah, people applying, we go out and recruit too. We try to meet people where they're at. Yeah, what you got?
Just to help explain, as a chair, I'm kind of involved a little bit, so I know a little bit more. There's a comment that's a lot in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
of, so what's the deal with this new homeless camp that's being put in over here on the other side of Redwood Road? So can we just explain the difference between what the village is gonna be and the difference between that and some sort of homeless or halfway house?
Very much so. So one of the hardest things I got to hear tonight was some of your guys' experiences with somebody, assaulting somebody on the Jordan River Parkway with crimes and bullets being shot outside of your homes and things like that. My job, and I think everybody in our community's job, is to, do our best to make it, well, not do our best. We have expectations that those aren't the people that are going to be moving into our community. The violence, the crime, the drugs, things like that. That's not acceptable with the other side village. Long before any of that came to light, there's so many conversations that happen before that's ever available that most of the time, if somebody wants to live that lifestyle, they decide to go live it where it's easy. Because
that's the first time I've been at the prep school academy.
Yeah.
As a screening program. I
Very much.
following this, continually. And that's the first time that's been mentioned.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of things
More presentation.
yeah, very much so. We could do better on getting out there and presenting it. It was something called the welcome neighborhood, but it didn't really present the message the way it was hard to explain.
We were told that there would be drug addicts there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
not
told
by
you
us.
that?
And it'd be, it's the way it was said. There will be drug addicted people, there will be mentally ill people there.
It's a clean and sober
We
community.
were told that's who we're going to be dealing with, you as administrators.
Yeah. Well, I'd be very interested in who presented that to you, because the only reason we got approval for the project and part of the huge thing about our element is that it's a clean and sober community.
I've heard that you would work with those people and accommodate them and try to make them clean and sober and try to help the mentally ill.
Yeah.
That's the way it was presented.
So
Yes.
there is an element of supporting somebody who needs some support, like, say you're on the street, you're in that environment. There is some support that people need to be able to live successfully. It's not something that happens overnight. We are gonna take them at the prep school, which is off location, and we're gonna work on those things. Hopefully build somebody up to where they're able to live a value-centered. Yeah.
And the presentations that I.
Yeah.
heard.
Well, the prep school concept has developed
Yeah.
over time.
Well, I mean, it was poorly presented. I mean.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Probably, this, I find acceptable.
Yeah.
This is acceptable. I mean, it's just, it was not so.
Yeah.
And, it's there too, the other side. Feels, it's a middle class piece.
Yeah, it's free.
Right at home, it's free. Someone has to have the mental capacity.
Of course.
In order to go out and function and get a job and do things like that. And, we need, and this is, what you have is a reflection of that. It's going to appeal more to the middle class rather than severely mentally ill. And C. Gill's been here in the past. And he's talked about, we need, we're dealing with the homeless problem and the drug addiction problem is the center of that can screen those people, from the regular homeless people, the drug addicted and mentally ill, and give them the places they need.
Yeah.
Your presentation, we could describe it as hard.
Thank you very much.
And our plan has evolved over time, and we've really developed the prep school concept. And as Robbie mentioned, we used to refer to it as the welcome neighborhood, and maybe that wasn't the focus of previous presentations, but we always had the intent to work to really help do the training, the life skills, make sure somebody's clean, sober, they're able to have a job, pay their bills, live by the community rules before they move into the village. And so our screening program is very much a part of the whole thing. And that is because even if somebody has mental illness, it can be managed if they're, they're in a treatment program, they have medications that they need. And so part of the prep school process is to help people achieve the stability, make sure their health is in order, their mental health is in order, they're able to pay their bills.
That's a screening program.
Yeah. It's a training program. Yeah, and somebody might come into it without those skills, but that's why they're there, is for us to help them get to the point where they can live successfully, maintain their home, and obey the community rules, and be an asset to the community rather than a burden.
What you got? Sorry.
I think this is a great concept. I think that it's really good to see these type of things happening. And I think that, what's really, I think, been, I visited with the Salt Lake, County Health Department. And they're saying that the biggest problem they see is that a lot of these people aren't getting the life skill training that they need before they get, put into housing programs.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them have hoarding problems or
Very much.
things like that, and then they end up with a lot of stuff in these places they're in, and then they're evicted, and then the county health department has to come in and remove all this stuff because it's a hazard.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that go into changing your life. So I went through a cycle in my life where I put myself in a situation where I was homeless, where I was surrounded by people with those things, and I didn't have that set of skills. You know, I could get a house, and when I moved into that house, what were the supportive relationships I had? People that were around me when I was making those bad decisions. What was the support services I had? Somebody I could talk to once a week for an hour and walk right back out. And who did I walk out to? I walked out to people that were, you know, that were not helpful for me. Not that everybody's situation's like that, but skills and support and a healthy environment and a standard of an expectation of living, and people that could hold me accountable, not with judgment, but with support, and say, hey, you're better than this. This is what you should do, and be there every step of the way. It made a difference for me.
And we've seen that be successful with many who come through the academy process who have had periods of homelessness. Most students there have experienced homelessness themselves, as well as incarceration. So we have a methodology of peer support that works to help people overcome those challenges and to improve their lives and become a participating member of society. And seen it work over and over again.
It can't be a Band-Aid fix. There's so many things going on that it needs to be cohesive, collaborative. You had a question.
So for the prep school, there are like cohorts.
So as of right now, the building that we have a very small, we have maybe around 20 beds until the place gets built. So we've brought in a couple people at a time, let them come in, let them get the culture and learn some of these skills and these patterns of behavior, and then bring somebody else in. We don't want to bring in a whole bunch of people all at once where it outweighs the culture. We want to bring people in, help them learn a couple things so they can learn. So it hasn't been cohorts yet. There may come a time that changes, but it's been slow.
It's individual, and they graduate as they individually are ready.
So once like the village built, how you guys are expected to be in those. I'm assuming that like everything fill up, that there really no more full out class.
Very much so.
And like no goal be allowed to go to.
If the village hit full capacity, then I would assume that we would look into ways to expand. I'm not sure yet. We haven't got to that issue. There is probably going to be the reality of the situation is there's going to be people who go through and make it into live in the village, and they start to make some different decisions. They're not able to maintain their, in that situation, we would like to be able to give them a chance to, if they're, had a relapse and they start to use drugs, help them go to rehab, help them get some support, give them a second chance. If that's a repetitive behavior, it would be approached in a different way. So there's probably going to be a lot of, and we'll see.
When it's complete, we'll have about 400 homes, so we'll be able to handle a significant amount. Phase one is only 60 homes. So as soon as we have approval to move on to future phases, we'll continue to build those. So it'll take us some time to build those first 60.
Okay.
But they're arranged also in neighborhoods of 20 each. So as you move into it, you'll be part of a specific community that's arranged in an oval, so that those are your direct neighbors. And so we still try to maintain that culture in the village as well as when they come out of prep school.
My own personal recommendation would be anybody that wanted a better understanding would be to come visit our prep school and talk to the people there. I can use all the words I want, but if you get to walk in that door and talk to these people and look them in the eyes, that would be your best understanding. This nice gentleman in the pink shirt had a question. Okay.
Yeah, I just, we're running short on time, but I just wanted to touch, so just for everyone to know, we're gonna kind of have open invitations for the other side to come as we move through the year, giving us small updates, kind of like a lot of the other areas so that we can get that. So this isn't the only time we're gonna see them, but I just love if we can touch just a big picture on kind of the front public end of the village and how that's different from the back end, actually residential.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people get a big picture of what else you're bringing to the community besides housing.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff to explain.
Yeah, so it's arranged where there's the front part of the village is public facing with public amenities. We'll have some different space for retail, for shops, for our social enterprises, as well as potential retail space available for someone to open a business. Some of the things we have planned currently, in fact, wanted to mention before we leave, is we've already started our donut shop. The permanent location will be right on Redwood Road, 760 South. We just purchased the building. It's under construction right now, the remodel for the interior. And we sell the donuts, it's called The Other Side Donuts, online. They're available for purchase for delivery or pickup currently, but when the physical location is built, that'll be right on Redwood Road, 760 South. So you'll have a local donut / coffee shop. So that'll be an amenity public facing. And then on Indiana Avenue will be the facing where the retail kind of shopping area is, the businesses. Also, we'll have we have a medical clinic in our administration kind of community building will be built. That'll be public on the public facing side. Once you pass the public side of the building, that where the homes are is gated. So we're controlling access, so people won't be able to just drive in, unwanted traffic. But the public facing side, there'll be a small store in phase 1. And we're planning on building a larger grocery store as in second phase. Third phase will have the Performing Arts Center. We're building a 600-seat performing arts venue that will be facing Indiana Avenue as well. That's in phase 3. So there'll be a number of on-site businesses there that are available to the public, as well as, the residents that live there. And so the front, and the Airbnb, we call it cottages at the other side. And so there are 21 units, the tiny homes, all individual unique tiny homes that are available as on Airbnb or Vrbo, any of those vacation rental sites. So if you have family or friends, or you just want to go sleep overnight in a tiny home and check one out, those will be open for, overnight rental through those systems. And so that's one of our social enterprises. The income from that will help support the operations of the village ongoing. And that'll be an asset that's available for anybody in the community or anyone visiting Salt Lake to stay there. So those will be some of the public facing amenities that we'll have as part of the village.
We'd like it to be a hub of community with healthy people and productive lifestyles. It's offering jobs and connection and events and things like that. That has a high standard. You could be, count on people to be there. They're living a healthy lifestyle.
We'll have 3 electric vehicle charging stations that will be available to the neighborhood as well. And then there will be, what was the other thing I was going to mention? The Airbnbs,
If you get
there was another amenity I was thinking of, and I've just forgotten it.
If you get the chance, go by the donut shop, tell them you live in the neighborhood. I'm sure they'll give you a free donut. They're pretty good.
But hopefully that'll be open here in the spring.
We can give you guys phone numbers if you want to reach out. There's a whole bunch of details to it, but you could come by, meet everybody. We'd answer any questions as we progress with. The more feedback, the better. There's probably going to be things come up that we're not aware of. Tell us about it and we'll do our honest, best effort to fix some things.
We'll also be working, I remember working on getting a green bike station there so that'll be available in the neighborhood. And I know they're working on west side expansion, but we want to be able to connect to the other stations on the west side that are growing through the green bike system. So we'll plan on having one there at the opening of the village as well. So
yeah,
we'll be in the future phase.
There'll be cameras all over. At the academy, we call the cops probably more than anybody in the neighborhood. We have a good relationship with them. So if we could do our part to make the whole, not just our property, but the whole neighborhood a better environment, we will. We do night securities at the academy. We rove the property out there at night, looking for things going on, and we try to do our part to change it.
And it's the same people and same standards we're bringing to the village as well.
There's nobody better to spot suspicious behavior than somebody that used to do it themselves.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad that the other side is able to come out. If you want to get more information about the village itself, you can just go to theothersidevillage.com. Has a lot of info there, and we'll be seeing you as the months go on. We'll be glad to have that open relationship so we can change some of the views. Again, I want to make sure they came in because we've heard in this neighborhood different things than what I've heard from them directly. And so they'll stick around if you have direct questions, want to follow up some more or connect with them at their other locations to get more information about.
And Daniel comes to our monthly, we have community advisory board meetings and he's part of that and he comes to those. So he can always bring back information to you as well. So he comes to our meetings on a regular basis.
Well, thank you guys for having us.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. So we are glad you're able to make it out. I think a lot of the public issues have been brought up directly to the people that it matters to. But we just always want to leave it open for the last 2 minutes of our meeting. Is there any other public issues that as members of the community wanted to bring to the attention of the council, or that would publicly be needed for any of the organizations that are presented?
Just have a question. Oh, we're, read somewhere that the freeway expansion is not gonna take, it's gonna go through the existing freeway around, so the neighborhoods don't have to worry about being destroyed or any of the work on the freeway. Is that true?
So they're trying their best to stay within their existing footprint. I believe they're mostly doing it. There are a few very small sections where they're expanding. There is a series of, I believe they're condo complexes. I don't know the exact address as I haven't been super closely involved with the project. It's on the east side of I-15. They, I believe, are going to present those residents with an option to either be bought out or moved, because while they're not going to be impacting their actual property, there's going to be a lot of construction going on there for months, and they're going to have to raise the size of the sound wall, and the sound wall is moving closer. So they're going to give them that option, either move or stay.
So roughly to answer, the real answer to the question is, nothing's set yet. Everything's up in the air right now. So there's been different proposals that have gone both ways, and nothing has been concrete yet. I mean,
So that statement that I read, which said it's been decided that we will not expand the freeway beyond the existing limits of the freeway that we have plans for. But that's not, I didn't notice some of the meetings that they had, the city persons there, because I read that, and it discouraged me from going to the meeting and, complaining about what the potential would have been expansion into our neighborhoods and destruction.
yeah, Dr. Oliver.
So UDOT was at Rose Park 2 weeks ago, and they said no home will be affected in Rose Park except Salt City Inn. The old Salt City Inn is probably going to be taken out. That's 1,000 more than 900 West. Yeah, that's exactly what those parts said.
Yeah, so, but it's still, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of promises that are made that get changed along the way. So, I mean, I don't know, my 2 cents is that, yes, that's the plan for now, but it's still all in planning stages and study stages. And, the West Side Coalition just had an environmental impact study that just got put out through the EPA. And I mean, there's a lot of info that's up in the air. Tentatively, that's the plan, but we'll have to play it by ear as it goes along. Luckily, the expansion only barely touches Poplar Grove community. It barely hits into us just a tiny bit at the very north end of our neighborhood, but it does very much affect the west side as a whole. Fair Park and Rose Park as well included, and all the way up into Davis County.
Sound, Daniel, the sound walls be built so high, and so it's the sound that a lot of us are suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But great, I mean, those are definitely concerns that concern us all, so the expansion there, and we'll see how that plays out.
When is that public meeting for that discussion coming on here?
Well, there's 2 discussions. There's one discussion about the living streets.
Oh, it's Living Streets, I think, it was the free one. Those are over, aren't they? But they're still taking.
Some of the freeway ones are over. They're always,
Yeah, the recordings online.
yeah, the recordings are online.
And there's also the 45-day comment period. If you go on the website, you can see they have a full overlay. You can see specifically where the impacts are and the full plan set and make comments, and I would highly encourage you to do that.
Yeah, the website is,
Right, the flyer, that's right here on the table.
you have the.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like I-15EIS.udot.utah.gov. So it's not super catchy, but it's effective. So. All right, so we just wanted to, once again, we, as a community council, we want to try to build up local businesses. We do have some treats that we purchased from Panaderia Flores, which has some great treats. We have extra, I mean, like take one home with you if on your way out. And again, we will hopefully see as many of you that would like to come meet and party with our neighboring Fair Park Community Council on December 7th, the first Thursday in December, which is out of our normal schedule of taking a couple months completely off. We decided to party a little bit, but we will be back on January, February, March, April, May of next year as well. So back to our normal times on the 4th Wednesday of the month. We thank you again for coming out. Please connect with the people that matter here and we'll call it a day.
Thank you, everyone.